Swazdula Scrubs, how the hell are ya? So, update 26, The Old Blood. Let's talk about that shit, shall we? But first off, just a real quick, well, I don't know, info, I guess. Yes, I am still alive, and I do apologize for the lack of content over the past couple of weeks. Not doing so well. So yeah, but I am working on it. Yeah, so don't worry too much or something, guys. I'll be fine. Anywho, update 26. I got some thoughts, okay? Update 26 brought us the new Lich System, it brought us a new warframe, it brought us 2.5 reworks, I guess is fair to say. The half part is kind of Titania, who was tweaked mildly, which I'm not going to get into, but I am going to get into the other shit as well. And one of the major changes that was done was Melee 2.9, I guess is what it's being called so far. I don't fucking know, I don't care either, but Melee changes. Okay. Let's dive right into the melee changes, because there's the least to say there, ironically. I don't have much of an opinion on that. I don't see much of a difference. The way you play melee and whatnot, yeah, blah blah, that's different and whatever, and I'm pretty sure that most people are already used to the new system more or less. But the thing that everybody is probably most interested in is, are my favorite weapons still good? Or is this and that nerfed? Now, I've tested a couple of weapons, not at super high level, so I don't have the direct comparison, but from what I can tell, there's not much of a difference. I have read a whole bunch of tweets about X mechanic not working properly anymore, not being great and whatnot and whatever. And yeah, be that as it may, so far I can't really see much of a difference. I don't think that there's much reason for us to cry and whine about it just yet. Overall, honestly, I will happily trade in a little bit of melee damage just for an overall better flow. I used to bitch a lot about the stances, the moves, the melee moves that the warframes would perform because they were stupid. And I'm a martial artist and that just rubs me the wrong way, right? There was no flow, the movements didn't make any goddamn sense whatsoever, and now that has changed dramatically. I'm not saying that they all make sense, there's still some silly moves in there, but I mean, action movies are also silly, alright? So it's just the overall feel of the melee system is better, in my opinion. I don't know, you can let me know in the comment section if you feel differently. Not that I give a shit, but you can go ahead and do so. I will probably read it if I have the right set of mind to do so. Right, so melee feels better, might be a little bit weaker. I can't see that actually happening, so let's move on to the next thing. Grendel. Oh my god. Fatboy Slim Prime. Not gonna lie, I hate him. Yeah, that's right, I said it. Grendel is a piece of shit. He is tanky, yes. He's strong in that way, yeah, sure. But Grendel has a fundamental flaw that does not sit right with me. You see, Grendel's first ability is the one where he devours enemies. He eats them up and they get stuck in his belly and whatnot, where they do take damage and whatnot. Essentially what we're looking at there is basically a different version of Hydroid's Puddle. And everybody knows how great Hydroid's Puddle is and how good it is and how useful it is in-game, right? We all know, come on now. This is irony for those of you who are a little slow, I'm just saying. Grendel has a glorified puddle where he eats enemies, which is all fine and dandy and that's kind of cool and whatnot. But Grendel also has 3 other abilities, which are not castable unless you have an enemy in your belly. What the fuck? Who came up with that? What is that? You're constantly busy eating enemies so that you can cast your other abilities in the first place, which cost energy, by the way, well, partially, while the damn enemies in your tummy are draining your energy. The more enemies that are in there, the more energy they will drain. So, I don't understand well, what's the point? Where is that? You have to make an efficiency monster, and even if you do, you still can't use your other abilities unless something is in your tummy. I mean, I get it. You need nutrition to function properly. Sure, that's cute in real world, but not in a game like Warframe. Fuck that. Fuck that. That's stupid. Secondly, I hate the rest of his abilities too. Regurgitate and all that stuff. The only thing that Grendel has going for him, in my opinion, is that when you do have certain enemies in your tummy and you cast that second ability, I think it was the second one, to buff yourself and allies, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I mean, Rhino can do the same thing, as can a number of other Warframes, just better. It's not the problem that other Warframes can do it too, the problem is that they do it better. You know, and they don't need to do a whole bunch of shit beforehand to be able to use that buff in the first place. You know what I mean? I don't think that Grendel is quite thought out for Warframe as a game. You know what I mean? His third ability, where he cannonballs a single enemy from his tummy at something, is... I mean, we might as well throw fucking frisbees at the enemy at this point. Come on now, what is that? And then his fourth ability, where he turns into a big meatball and he goes rolling, 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 you know? That's all fine and dandy and I guess kind of fun, maybe, until you reach a slope and you happen to want to go up that slope, because guess what? The mofo only works on a flat surface or downhill, and I mean, you can already imagine how useful that is in game. I don't get it. I don't like him. I don't think he's thought out. I don't know how to fix him either, and I don't care about him. He does have a lot of health though, and he is pretty tanky, but I mean, whatever, you do you, fam. He's not for me. I personally would not spend a single plat for this fool, right? I really wouldn't. Right now, he's just my newest dust collector. That's all. He's on the shelf. I have him built, and I'm done with him. I'm already bored with him because he's a piece of shit. That's my opinion, though. Don't take my word for it. You do you, fam. Now let's talk about one of the reworks. Let's start with Ember, because why the hell not? Okay, so initially playing Ember, I was pretty disappointed and felt like she was a piece of shit. In the meantime, that opinion has changed a little bit because I kind of found a more optimized build, I should probably say, something that works just fine. The playstyle is different, but I like the playstyle. I mean, y'all know that I'm basically a mag main, right? And mag mains have to press a lot of buttons. Before mag was kind of like my only main, I kind of cheated on mag with Trinity for a long time. So I mained Trinity, and before that, it was Ember. So all of these frames are kind of spammy. I like to call it engaging, right? You have to use your head a little bit. You have to, you know, kind of consider what you're going to cast and in which succession and which combinations you can do and whatnot. And I like that kind of gameplay, that kind of engagement. I like that. And Ember very much has that now. Before, Ember had pretty much only CC and the damage was, just leave it alone, right? Nowadays, she doesn't have that much CC. I almost want to say no CC, but that's not entirely accurate, but I'll get to that in a second. She does decent damage. She can definitely hold her own in solo survival missions, or especially in a group and whatnot. She really will hold her own, which is nice. And she's pretty darn tanky too, I gotta say, which is, you know, that's cool. I like that her fireball scales with damage, so even with level 80-ish enemies or so, you can still melt their faces off fairly easily with the fireball if you spam it on them, right? Which is impressive for fire damage, because fire is a piece of shit, right? When it comes to CC, her third ability, right, what she does, what I noticed is that when she casts her third ability, you have like that radius, that expanding radius of fire, you know, that dome of fire that expands out and hits all the enemies around you. At least that's how it used to be. I've noticed something, however. That son of a bitch ability seems to be line of sight, which I don't understand. So, in other words, if you're standing in an empty room and there just happens to be a box in the middle of the room and an enemy is behind that box and you cast that ability, that enemy is not going to be affected by it. Which is not too bad when I say it out loud just like that, but consider the tile sets in Warframe. A lot of corners, a lot of crossroads essentially, a lot of corridors, a lot of tight spaces with a lot of obstacles, right? So when you hit that max charge 90%, that 90% charge thingamadoodad, right? And then you cast your third ability to not drain all of your damn energy after a short time, right? Then you would kind of be happy that you just strip all enemy armor around you, right? Well, if you hit him, I don't know, that don't sit right with me. That just doesn't sit right with me. Especially since one of her augments actually allows her to heal using her third ability, which is genius. Honestly. Yeah, tips hat thanks to you for adding something to give her some health. Very nice, clever. Well played. But yeah, maybe it was just a false observation on my end, but I'm pretty sure the damn thing is line of sight, and if that is the case, then that's pretty retarded, not gonna lie. That is kind of stupid. In an open space, it's great, but other than that, it's really annoying. Nonetheless, I've noticed that Ember, the way I build her now, and y'all know how I build my warframes, right? I don't like making specialized builds and having 5,000 different loadouts for different shit. No, screw that. I like to grab my warframe, build them to be an all-rounder. If I grab Ember, I want Ember to be able to do every mission of any level in the entire game, right? If I grab Mesa, I want her to be able to do the same. If I grab Trinity, I want her to be able to do the same. You feel me, right? I don't want a build like a Frost defense build specifically for defense. I don't want that. I don't like doing those kinds of things either, because I don't want to fiddle around and swap back and forth between 100 different fucking builds, right? So I just have all-rounder builds. A build that is great for everything, right? Or at least decent at everything. And the current build that I have, which is not optimized yet, I noticed that Ember really starts to shine somewhere around level 60 enemies and then starts to drop off at level 90-ish or so. What I mean is there's this very nice synergy with the build that I have where you will overheat very quickly, which means you will have to start almost spamming your third ability to keep your overheat charge down, which in turn will crowd control all the shit around you and heal your Ember. And then you're going to want to debuff the enemy with her fourth ability a little bit, and all of that really works very nicely together, right? Because you're killing a lot of shit, you're taking minimal damage, you're healing yourself, and you're gaining a lot of energy too because shit is dying from your fourth ability and whatnot, right? So it's a really nice juggle, a really nice synergy. She gets into a really beautiful flow around that enemy level. I am going to try to perfect that build a little bit further, push it further, and see how far into the game I can get, right? So that's my goal. Overall, Ember is pretty decent. She's not bad. She's very different from before. If you loved her the way she was before, then you might not like her the way she is now. But I can say she is really fun. She's definitely fun, and her damage is decent, and her tankiness is very welcome. So yeah, definitely give her a fair shot. I say, good job. Let's do it. Keep her. I wouldn't change much about her. Unlike with Boobin. Now listen. We all already know that Raytalius is already ripping D a new one about Vauban. Rightfully so. But let me say right off the bat, Vauban is cool now. I mean, he was alright before, like a bit of a nerdy kind of, I don't know, misfit in Warframe that likes to fiddle with balls a lot, and now he's a cool engineer type of doodad that's kind of badass and whatnot. Okay, that's fine. But that being said, who at DE has been playing retro games lately and came across the game Wipeout? What the fuck is that damn speed boost ability? Why is that in his kit? How that ability went from being suggested by some individual to actually being shipped in the game is beyond me. I don't understand. That ability is not only just straight up dumb, it's also fucking useless. And I know, I can already hear a couple of white knight fuckboys typing hate comments. Oh man, you can use it to go faster. Listen here, mofo, have you not ever heard of Wisp or Volt or Gauss or Arcwing or freaking K-Drive or Nova or whatever the fuck else? Have you... What? That ability is stupid. It has no business being there. Now, if it were up to me, I'd just delete the ability altogether and only have him rotate between 3 kinds of grenades, which I don't know, it just feels right, you know what I mean? But I did also see a tweet from Ray Talius, I think it was a tweet, where he mentioned replacing it and also started nagging about his survivability. Rightfully so, nagging. I'm not saying that it was misplaced, it was rightfully so. And then I got to thinking, yeah, you know what, he's right, because, I mean, Vauban, cool as he is now and all, he's still a squishy bitch. And that's really annoying. And he spams the shit out of his abilities, really, right? So, it would be kind of cool if DE would replace maybe that speed boost shit and add some sort of a survivability aspect to it. I don't know, something boring and straightforward, like maybe a healing pad or some shit, or perhaps maybe a cool shield kind of thing, kind of like Volt but more mechanical and cool, like for example the ones that you can use in Ring of Elysium, or maybe a very small bubble of immunity, for example. Maybe it's stationary, maybe you can grab it, I don't know, something like that. I'm just saying, since that one ability, the speed boost ability, is bullshit, and it's going to get yeeted or changed or replaced anyway, might as well fill that gap with something that adds survivability, because my man Boobin ain't exactly a tank, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Overall, beside that, he's in a decent spot, I guess. It's definitely not perfect. I don't see him being finished yet. He needs a little bit of tweaking here and there. Beside that, though, I mean, yeah, he's kind of fun to play now. More fun, rather. I mean, I never had a problem with Boobin, ever. It was fine, you know, but he's just better now. Okay, so now we got all of that shit out of the way. Let's go with the Lich system. I kind of have nothing to say, but I also kind of have a whole lot to say, so I'm going to try to strike the middle somewhere. The Lich system is pretty cool. I like how the enemies are generated, your uber boss, right? The super antagonist, essentially. I like how they are generated. I like that it has a wee bit of story behind it, just a little bit of story. I really like that about it. It just makes the game feel way more immersive. And speaking of immersion, those fucking cutscenes, where those finisher cutscenes are dope. This is something that I've also been bitching about a whole lot during streams. I've mentioned this so many times, and at this point I'm convinced that DE be watching my streams and taking notes, okay? Not to give myself all the credit at all, but I happen to only know me talking about that kind of stuff, okay? There are probably other YouTubers and streamers and shit out there that do the same, or have mentioned it. I probably, yeah. But I don't know about it, so excuse me. But yeah, that is so cool. It really makes you feel more in the battle rather than, hey, look, there's a room filled with 20 enemies, press button and delete them all, right? It makes you really feel more immersed in the action and everything, and I'd like to see more of that stuff. That would be great. That would be really nice. So yeah, D, get to work on that. What I find a little bit annoying about the whole system, but I'm kind of on the fence about it as well, is it's another classic case of where DE implements new things to acquire in the game, and then adds a whole bunch of shit that you have to do to get to that stuff, right? Which, I mean, video games need to work that way, right? But there's a limit. We know that Warframe is a horrible grind fest most of the time. This time, I think it's fair, honestly. I kind of feel like each Lich is kind of like a quest, right? A redundant quest, sure, but a quest nonetheless. I mean, this is Warframe and not The Witcher 3, okay? So don't expect too much there. But it's a little bit like a quest. When you first set out to destroy your Lich, you will inevitably walk a path that will give you a lot of shit. You get tons of resources along the way. You'll get a whole fucking bunch of Kuva. You'll probably get a whole bunch of Endo as well, because those Requiem mods, they go for 1,000 Endo each. I'm just saying, fam. I'm just saying. You might want to take that into consideration as well, right? They drop fairly easily. there are unnecessary many steps, but they're fair. You know what I mean? They're not too grindy. So overall, it's kind of nice. I also like the fact that Kuva has way more relevance now, which also scares me at the same time because it kind of makes me wonder what exactly are we going to do when we have all of the new Lich weapons, or rather Kuva weapons, when we don't have a need to destroy the Liches or hunt them anymore. What then? I'm pretty sure that a lot of players are going to have a fuck ton of Kuva and not much to do with it, which isn't too much of a big deal, but it's like a fast approaching dead end. And I'd very much like to know if DE has any kinds of plans to avert that, right? Or to add some sort of other significance in there. I don't know. I hope so. But yeah, overall, Lich System is cool. I approve. It's A-okay. It's really neat. I like the lines, which are lewd as fuck. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about this, guys. For you who don't have it yet, what to look forward to. Be a little bit careful with Grendel. I wouldn't spend a dime on his bitch ass, honestly. Ember is fun. Vauban needs to get better, although he already is pretty much better. Make some noise about it. Make DE aware of it, which they already are, but I mean, it can't hurt to make it louder. And maybe they'll come around and make some final adjustments and whatnot. The Kuva system, the Lich system, will seem daunting at first because everything is just new, but it's really not that bad once you figured it out how to do it. There is grind aspect to it, yes, of course, but it's not horrible. It is manageable. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this freaking update. I'm gonna go climb back under a rock or a blanket or go into some dark corner and sulk. So yeah, and I hope I'll be back up to speed, or rather back up to decent mental health, to where I can start streaming regularly again and all that shit, because I do miss it. So yeah, alright guys. As usual, you know the drill. Stay healthy and safe, take care of yourselves, because you only live once, and peace the fuck out.